The beginning of the film is about a girl who was injured in a river. She was a deep thinker. Only memories of the past are burning in her mind. What happened to her to know this? We come back 30 years ago, in the jungle of America. We see the same girl who was 12 years old at that time. Her name was Helen. She came to her dad. Both of them go hunting. Their relationship was very deep. Both father and daughter were very good at hunting. To survive in this desolation, they had to do this. Helen's dad, Jacob, was very good at everything. How to survive in this situation, how to hunt, how to protect yourself. He knew all this very well. With every passing day, he was teaching everything to Helen. This family lived in the middle of the jungle. Helen, her dad and mom, like every day, they went ahead looking for their prey. They reach a deer. Now Jacob was a very strict person. He holds Helen's gun and says that the time has come. Kill your prey. Although Helen aims, stops breathing and shoots. But the deer runs away from there. Helen was very upset with this. Her dad, Jacob, was also angry. He asks, "What did you learn in much time? How did he find out about us?" Helen looked up. The wind was blowing. She says that she must have smelled us. Both of them came home. Helen's mom was lighting a fire to cook food. Jacob says, "Don't burn it. There is no prey. So today you will not get any food." Hearing this, he also felt very bad. Here we notice that there is not such a good relationship between Helen and her mom. That's why she loved her dad more. She was jealous of her mother. Not only this, but the relationship between Helen's mom and dad was also not good. Helen had a lot of tattoos on her body, which her dad used to make. If she did a good job, it would be her reward. I mean, when she used to pass a test of Jacob. Helen was happy in this environment too. Her only friend was also her dad. There was not much here. So Helen had made wooden and leafy toys to play with. The next day, Helen goes out to look for food with her dad. They had set traps for animals everywhere. Seeing one, they were quite surprised, because there was only a wolf's leg there. When Helen asked Jacob about this, he says that the wolf sacrificed its leg to save its life. It cut itself and ran away. Remember, Helen, in this world, it is only important to keep yourself alive and healthy. For this, if a person has to go through any obstacle, he should go through it. And today, Helen hunts her first deer, which they brought. Jacob had a small cabin, where he kept important things, especially guns, etc. But Helen was not allowed to go here. Now at night, Helen's voice was heard by the wolf's voice. When she came out, the wolf and her child came here, sniffing the deer's meat, which Helen had hunted today. She was watching them, and then Jacob came there. Helen says that we have some bones. We give them to eat. Jacob refused. He says that no, it is the law of nature. We should not pity them. They are just hungry wolves. They will do anything for hunger. If we have to eat, we will eat, so kill them. If you want your family to survive. But Helen can't do that. So Jacob himself kills both the hungry wolves with a gun. The next day, Jacob started hunting alone. Jacob had named Helen Little Shadow. Helen insisted on going with him, and her dad says that not today, Little Shadow, someday. So now her mom and she were alone at home. Then a man came sitting in a small car here. Actually, he was lost in the jungle and was asking for directions from these people. Now because the man and his car were new to Helen, she did not know how the outside world was. So she started looking at them very carefully. Then the worried Helen's mom came out. She says to the man, "Help us, get us out of here, before he comes." She tries to force Helen to sit in the car, but she does not want to sit. The man also says that how can I get out, I am lost here myself. A bullet went with it, which comes straight and hits the man, and he died there. This bullet was fired by Jacob, who was coming there. So Helen's mom quickly sat in the car and started leaving, but she was not agreeing to go. She says, "How can I leave my dad and go?" Helen was adamant, so her mom forcefully hit her with a stone and made her unconscious. And she successfully made her sit in the car and get out of here. At night, when Helen regained consciousness, she found herself in a hospital. Because she was seeing everything around for the first time, she felt very strange. Then the sheriff came in front of her. She says, "Do not worry. Now you are absolutely safe. Your mom is also here." Helen quickly went to her mom. She says, "We should not be here. Where is Dad? We have to go home." Her mom says, "That was not our home." In anger, Helen says, "What are you saying? What is the matter?" Then her mom said that Jacob is a beast in the form of a human. "He forced me to marry him. He did a lot of wrong. He kept me in the jungle for 12 years. Helen says, "Lie, you are a liar. Dad had told me that I should not believe anything you say." And now she shouted at her mom that I have to go home. But the sheriff came and took Helen away from there. He shuts up and says, "Son, you just calm down." Then it is obvious that she was not going to calm down. Or suddenly it was very difficult for her to accept everything. She could not resist, because she was very good at hunting. She knew how to deal with these situations. So she runs away from the window. Now she had to find her dad, who meets her in the streets of the city, who was whistling to Helen, which she used to play in the jungle. It felt like someone was whistling and calling a pet animal. Both father and daughter hugged each other. Jacob says, "Let's go home, little shadow." And now, as soon as she started going, the police surrounded her from all sides. That's why Jacob says that I will definitely come back, wait for me. Saying this, he left, where Helen starts crying a lot for her dad. And now the story comes from here, 18 years later. Helen has grown up now, but that bad time of childhood still scares her like a bad dream, because she knew the truth that my dad is really a monster and a beast. 607. He kidnapped my mom and forced her to marry him, made a mistake and kept her in the jungle for 12 long years. First because she was a child, so the father used to like her and the mother used to dislike her. But now when she grew up, the truth was revealed to her. Helen now had her own life. She had to get married, she had a separate family. Some of her tattoos were gone, while she used to hide the marks of the tattoo on her face with makeup, because this used to remind Helen of her bad past. Because of this past, Helen had become a different person now. She didn't like to meet a lot of people and crowd. She just wanted to be with her husband and daughter. She used to keep her work. She used to work in a company, now in front of everyone, because the truth of Jacob had come. So a story was made about him. He was known as Marsh King. According to this story, it was said that he is a very bad person. He lives in the jungle and harms nature. He is a beast who forcibly married a woman and did wrong. Because of this, his name was read as Marsh King. Now Helen used to love her daughter and husband a lot. But here she had made a mistake. She even hid her identity from her husband, that she is the daughter of Jacob Marsh King, which was a big mistake of hers. She did this because then no one belonged to her. Now it was shown that the police were taking Marsh King and one of his companions somewhere else by bus, but these two had made a plan to escape. They came to a dark place and attacked the guard. Then they snatched the gun from him and killed the guard and the driver. And they escaped from here. The next day when Helen came home from work, she saw the police at her house. She was very scared. When she went inside, an officer told her that your dead Marsh King has escaped, or he contacted you, on which he replied with no. But now knowing that the beast has become free, she was very scared. Fear once again began to dominate her. When the police came, her husband also found out that Helen, who has hidden her identity so far, is the daughter of Marsh King. He was very angry about this, because Helen should not have hidden her head, although everyone knew the story of Marsh King. That's why he took his daughter and left from there. So now a police car started guarding there, because he was sure that Jacob would contact his daughter or try to reach her. And so Helen was now living alone. That night Jacob and his other companion were shown. He was waiting for someone at a gas station. In the meantime, a car came here. Both sat inside it and left from here. The next day, the same sheriff comes to ask Helen's condition, because when Helen's mom and he were freed from Jacob, Helen's mom had to marry the sheriff. In this way, Helen became sheriff's stepdaughter. But she never accepted him, although he was a very good man. He considered her his daughter. He wanted us to be like a family. He reassured Helen not to worry. Your husband is just angry. He will be back soon. Then an agent came here, because the FBI had called Helen. When he reached there, he found out that last night a car, when she was crossing the Canada border, the car had a very bad accident, in which Jacob and his companion were. The whole car was burnt, in which the corpses of two burnt men were also found. One of them could be Jacob. Now Helen knew that my dad had 3 golden teeth, so in this way, he guessed that Jacob must have died, because there he got golden teeth. But here Helen did not understand anything. How should I feel about my dad's death? Should I be sad or happy? Now the next day, his husband came home with his daughter, although he was still angry, but because he also got news of Jacob's death, so he came to encourage Helen. He asks Helen the reason that why did you hide the truth? She said that if you knew the truth that I am the daughter of Marsh King, would you have accepted me? Would you have married me? Never. His husband says, listen to me. I am ready to forget everything. But promise me that you will not keep me in the dark. Tell me the truth. But here Helen does not say anything. That's why her husband sat in the car and started going from here. But then Helen comes in front of him. She shows him all the tattoos of her body and tells him everything. That is, she had told all the secrets related to her mother and father, after which she becomes very sad. See, her husband comes close and hugs Helen. And this family became one again. Now the next day, all these people fell at Sharif's house. Helen tells her daughter, son, this is your grandfather. Hearing this, Sharif became very happy. He says, wow daughter, today I am very happy, because I was impatiently waiting for this day. Here it was found that Helen's mother had died, and Sharif had put Helen and her mother's pictures everywhere. Helen tells Sharif that mom always hated me, because she used to show me a glimpse of Jacob. Sharif explains to her that there is nothing like that. She loved you very much, but you never understood. In the evening, these people returned home. When these people were sleeping at night, Helen had a bad dream that my dad has come to this house too, and they are standing very close to me. Then the next day when she opened her eyes, she found Soa in the house. Seeing this, Helen was very worried, because she felt that dad had found me, and now he is after me. She sees her daughter who was cleaning her dirty shoes. Now that Soa could have been her shoes too. But Helen knew that my dad is such a crazy and dangerous person. He can do anything. Now the next day Helen went to the market. When she was talking to someone, she heard the sound of the same whistle, which she used to play as a child, and to call her dad. Helen found it strange. Following the sound, she moved forward. She also saw a glimpse that disappeared as soon as the bed creaked. Even after coming home, she was thinking about it. But she thought that this could be my illusion too. But she did not want to take any risk. So she becomes completely alert. She laid a net all around the house. When she heard the sound of the bell at night, Helen went to check. She saw that a rabbit was stuck in the net, but he had already been killed. Seeing this, she was very scared.
Seeing this, she was very scared. Because this can also be Jacob's work. She came home in fear. She tells this to her husband. She also called Shainib. But both of them tell her that this is your doubt and illusion. This is not possible. Because obviously, in their eyes, it was that Jacob is not alive. But the next day, Helen finds toys made of her house, wood, and leaves. She remembered that these are my childhood toys. She understands that Jacob has given me a sign. He is alive. And has reached me. And he will never leave us. That corpse was someone else's. Jacob did not mislead them. He just left his golden teeth there. So that they feel that he is dead. But obviously, he was not going to die so easily. Now Helen thinks that it is better to face fear than to be afraid. So now she left to face her father for the safety of her family. She came to the jungle. She starts going to the place where she spent her childhood. Her house was still there. Trees, rivers, everything Helen remembers even today. Where she meets her dad Jacob. After so many years, the two were meeting each other. Now he was quite old. But like before, he was dangerous and fearless. Both father and daughter started talking. Jacob says that you will have to come back. Bring your daughter here too. We will spend a life like before here again. I know that you also want this. Because you were very happy. The three of us will go to Canada via ship. And we will stay there. Helen says that I am not going to do anything like that. Because now I have a different life. I have a family. Husband and daughter. With whom I love a lot. And anyway, I know what you did to my mother. You are a beast. Then Jacob replies that she is a liar. I did nothing wrong with her. She came into my life by her own will. Helen started crying. She says that stay away from my family. And there is no need to come into my life. Jacob says okay. Both father and daughter met each other. And she leaves from here. She was moving forward. Where we saw that Sheriff also followed her and reached here. And now before both of them leave from here. Crazy Jacob shoots Sheriff and kills him. He also catches Helen. He forcibly pulls her hair and locks her in a pit. Where as a punishment he used to lock her in the same childhood. He puts a stick on the pit and leaves from there. Then Helen remembers that when Jacob locked her in the winter. Then her mother took her out of the pit. And said that son, I was weak. But you are not. And now because she was not a child. She had grown up. So she could help herself. She climbed on the walls and came out of the pit. She breaks the net of wood and comes out of there. Because Jacob was going to take her daughter. Now Helen knew where the gun was. She went to the cabin. She came out quickly with the gun. Where Jacob was going to sit in the boat and leave. Helen was going to aim and shoot him. That Jacob found out. Before the bullet hits, he dives into the water. Then Helen took the gun and went ahead. To kill Jacob. And here the war of life and death between father and daughter begins. The war was fierce. Because both knew how to live in these conditions. How to face difficult situations. But it is also true. That father is father. So Jacob was hiding in the mud. He also had the gun. Although Helen had seen him. Before that, she would shoot him. First, Jacob shoots him in the leg. And injures him. But does not kill him. And now he started taking her with him forcefully. Today he was calling her little shadow. Then Helen says to him in anger. That hide and do not call me by this name. Jacob says. What did I not do for you? Although your mother was weak. Then Helen says no. She was not weak. Rather, you are weak. Who forced a woman? Brought to the jungle. Did wrong with her. Locked her up. Jacob says. I did what I thought was right. And you tell me. Now what can you do to protect your family? Then emotionally. Helen said in a low voice. That I can give my life. And now when these two were passing from the other side. Then Helen pretends to fall here. Jacob went ahead to help. Then Helen takes him with her. Jumps down. Both fall down from very high in the river. That's why she was injured a lot. This is the same scene from the beginning of the story. When Helen was lying in the river in a state of injury. She quickly gets up and takes the gun. Jacob thinks of finishing the job. Although she also tried to pick up the gun. But it was unsuccessful. And now Helen is not afraid this time. She quickly shoots him without wasting time. She died. And in this way she killed the fear with her own hands. Along with that forever. In the form of a father. She also killed the beast, and now she could live happily with her family without any fear. Which was no less than happiness for her. And with this, the story of this film ends here.